The Nickelodeon Slimecast podcast is brought to you by the Reopen Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida Facebook page, and is produced by Patricia Miranda from oldschoollane.blogspot.com.
Here we go, here we go.
Everyone, welcome to a very special episode of the Nickelodeon Slimecast podcast. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with two very special guests who do an amazing podcast of their own called the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. We have Casey and Ashley, so welcome, guys.
Thank you.
We're very excited to be here.
So today we're going to be talking about Hey Arnold in honor of its 20th anniversary. So right before we get into the gist of things, why don't you talk about your earliest memories of the show?
I definitely watched it when I was younger. I can't think of the specific first time I watched it or the first memory of the show, but I do know that it was one of the Nicktoons that I watched when Nicktoons were originally on air, and definitely enjoyed the show a lot. I think, honestly, I've looked into it a lot more in my adult life than I did then.
Okay, and how about you, Casey?
Well, I didn't really watch things when I was a kid serially, so I wasn't really concerned with the order like I am today. And it was before Netflix, where we could, easily watch shows in the order that they aired. So I would catch the show when it was on, and I'm sure I've seen every episode in childhood and then again as an older person. But what I loved about Hey Arnold is that I always felt like it took me seriously, and I didn't really trust shows that I felt talked down to me as a kid, and I loved that Hey Arnold kind of reached out and spoke directly to kids in a way that wasn't preachy or wasn't, dumbed down.
Yeah, definitely. As for me, I was actually introduced to the character of Arnold himself, not from Nickelodeon, but from PBS. You see, right before Hey Arnold became a full-fledged TV series, Craig Bartlett actually created these little shorts for Sesame Street, which featured Arnold in claymation form. And he would do things from, being on a chair using his imagination, him going to church with his parents, and there was a third one, but I can never remember. But yeah, that was the first time I ever saw Arnold. And then when I saw that Nickelodeon was picking up a new show, and it's like, he kind of looks like that kid that was on Sesame Street that was made out of clay. But then I put two and two together years later, and then I found out, it's the same character. And I watched more and more into it, and I really liked it. I have to say that even still to this day, out of all the Nicktoons that had aired in the 90s, Hey Arnold is my favorite. And I'm probably sure I've mentioned this numerous times in other sources, but it still means a lot to me about what the show did for me as a kid, and later on, 20 years later, about what it does for me as an adult. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the show itself. The show, for those younger listeners who probably don't know, and maybe you're just introduced to it via the Splat, it's about a kid named Arnold and living off his everyday adventures with his classmates, boarding house, and they go through slice-of-life adventures. And one of the great things about this show, unlike Doug, which was shown a few years prior, it was able to take things in a different direction that really made it much more focused for not only for the kids who watch it, but also for the adults as well. It focuses on adult issues, it focuses on kid issues, and not to mention that a lot of the characters were interesting in their own way. It was relatable, but yet at the same time, you just see it in awe and wonder. Well, looking back on the show, it just really resonated with me, and as I felt that as the seasons progressed, it definitely changed in a way that you get to appreciate a lot more, because they did focus on a lot more adult things. They focused a little bit more on the adult characters. Looking back on the original, the first few seasons, it definitely is very simplistic, and it definitely puts you into the perspectiveness of what a kid is going through. What do you guys think?
I guess what really brought me into the show in general, what makes me enjoy it now as I'm older, similar to what Casey was saying, is how seriously it takes kids, and how, especially in later seasons, how many more adult topics are discussed, and in a way that it's still accessible to kids and it's still relatable to them in their life. but it does tackle these sort of more pressing issues in a cool way. Also, I love the animation style, love the music, and just the character development itself. It has really interesting characters that you just don't see in other shows.
Okay, how about you, Casey?
Yeah, building off what Ashley said, it's truly an ensemble show. We have this protagonist, Arnold, obviously, who kind of is our lens into the city life and this different sort of feel than other shows. But Ashley and I have talked a lot on our show about how every character in Hey Arnold sort of has an episode where we get to know them as people, beyond their sort of shtick for the purposes of the show. Harold just seems like this dumb bully, but then he has episodes that humanize him, and every character has something like that. So I love just the world building and the way we get to know every character deeply.
Yeah, definitely. And unlike the Nickelodeon incarnation of Doug, in which it does focus a lot on Doug, Hey Arnold isn't always focused on Arnold a lot of the time. Sometimes it focuses on Gerald, sometimes it focuses on Phoebe, sometimes it focuses on Helga, other times it focuses on even the adults. And that's why for the most part, a lot of people can be able to gravitate towards, which character they felt as their favorite, what situation that they went through was more relatable to them. So I feel that with that diversity that is thrown into the series, that's what is able to make it stand out, as opposed to, for the most part, a lot of the other slice of life cartoons that pretty much came out throughout the later part of the 90s, both for Nickelodeon and on the Disney Channel, in which they do focus a lot on the kids, and, not a lot of them focus on the adults. What would you say are your favorite episodes of the series?
My favorite that I always seem to turn back to, that I think about the most, and I just found the most interesting, was, I believe it's called On the Couch with Helga.
Helga on the Couch, yeah.
Yeah, where she goes and we see her talking to this therapist, and it really just talks through Helga's life, and it kind of helps to humanize her more. Again, we see the humanization of these bullying characters and see her as more than just a girl that picks on Arnold, and we get to see the way that, her parents are not exactly abusive, but very dismissive of her. And it just really built that character for me and really showed both the human side of that and just the humanizing interaction of having an adult that trusts her in her life and having that therapist really listen to her and see the positive effects that it had on her life. It's one of my favorites for sure. Another one that gets to me, and I feel like comes up a lot when talking about the show and sort of an ambiguous endings kind of situation, is Pigeon Man.
Oh, that was mine.
But it's one of those that definitely has this strangely adult kind of topic, in this way that, again, Pigeon Man just doesn't trust people, and he kind of, in a way, has some validation of that with the way that Harold and the others end up ruining all of his things, but the way that he also can see Arnold and see the good in people. And I feel like, for me too, that's kind of a constant struggle, right? In humanity, is sort of this balance between there are bad people, but there are good people too. And I guess, I don't know, I just really, really felt for him and the way that he interacts with Arnold, and just those kinds of statements. Those aren't things you normally see in kids' shows, right? Talking about conflict of humanity, and it really gets to me.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that, Pigeon Man is a character that, for the most part, a lot of people do remember the character, and there's a good reason for it, because he's one of those mysterious characters that you wonder if they really do exist. And then when you get to know a little bit more about, Pigeon Man, oh, he's just a creep. Oh, he's just some sort of, crazy man who just, lives in a roof where he's just caring for birds. It's like, no, there's a lot more to this character than that. And then when you find out that, he's there because he doesn't trust anybody, it just really makes the character a lot more relatable. And I feel that with a lot of these characters, especially, the ones that you hear in Legends, like, in episodes that Gerald will be talking about his legends, like, there's Stoop Kid, then there was the episode in which Curly was talking about the Ghost Bride.
Monkey Man.
Yeah, exactly. Just plenty of others, but the point is that, it's one of those cases in which you kind of wonder if these characters are real, but when you go more into them, you just see that, hey, they're not creepy like everybody makes them out to be. They're just as normal as you and I. Casey, let us know some of your favorite episodes.
Yeah, so I love Gerald's Legends. I think they're all great. I have a more specific episode after this, but Pigeon Man isn't exactly one of the legends. But what's great about those episodes is that it's where I think Hey Arnold is about where wonder meets reality. So there's this sort of, oh, that just sounds like high fantasy. There's no way that actually exists. And then it does, but it's not quite as magical as it seems. And then at the end, especially of the Legends episodes, we usually see a hint that it's real the whole time, like a voice laughing in a cave or like a trace of a ghost or something. And it just evokes this sense of childlike wonder that I love. That's like, well, maybe there is magic in the world, even though this is a very realistic show. So I love the Legends, but I think besides Pigeon Man, since Ashley took it from me, my favorite Hey Arnold episode would have to be Arnold's Christmas. I think it's the level of storytelling is way more in-depth than most kids' shows, like most Hey Arnold episodes, but it takes things even further on such an emotional level about family and what is your found family, what is your blood family, and it's sort of an adventure story within all of it, too, and we get to see Arnold sort of struggle as a protagonist, and we of course see a whole lot of good in the characters of the show, so I think that's my favorite episode.
Yeah, that's a great choice. For a lot of people, Hey Arnold's Christmas special has been ranked up as like one of the definitive Christmas specials to watch every year. One of the things that makes it stand out for me the most is that it tells about the perspectiveness of war. How many Christmas specials do you know of that focuses on somebody who went through a war and the aftermath of what they have to sacrifice in order for that person to have a happy life? When Mr. Wynn gives away his daughter Mai so that she can live a happy life, and then Arnold and Gerald have to find out where Mai is located so that Mr. Wynn can have a good Christmas. And I believe 2 years ago when I had Joe and Sullivan on my podcast, he was telling me a story about how the Christmas special came to be. When the writer Steve Viksten and him were at a Chinese restaurant, he was contemplating on what should I do for this Christmas special, and he had two stories that he wanted to do: the Secret Santa story and the story in which Mr. Wynn has a daughter who's he had to give away during the war. And then Joe said, "Why don't you just put the both of them together?" And Steve was like, "Yes, that's a great idea." And there's a part of the story that it hasn't been 100% confirmed. I'm trying to piece together the real story behind the scenes of the Christmas special, but right now, at the time of this recording, my track has been a bit cold because the stories that have been going around have been proven to be kind of false. So that story is still up for debate on whether it really happened. I'm not going to go into too many details, but let's just say that if the story that Joe told me that Steve told him was true, it's just as impactful as the Christmas story itself. But but beside that, it's very interesting about how the Christmas special is able to have all these perspectives together, in which, you have the story in which Arnold and Gerald are trying to find Mr. Wynn's daughter, the story about Helga wanting to find a perfect gift for Arnold, and at the same time she wants to get the Nancy Spumoni snow boots. And then when she does get it, she has to figure out, okay, should I give these boots away so that the guy, Mr. Bailey, who's the caseworker, can be able to locate Mr. Wynn's daughter, or should I keep it for myself? And it just makes you believe in miracles at the end, because Arnold would never know that Helga gave up her Christmas present so that Mr. Bailey can go back to work to find Mr. Wynn's daughter. And interestingly enough, Mr. Bailey was voiced by the same voice actor who also voiced Pigeon Man, so that gives you a little bit of closure there. And unfortunately, the original voice actor of both of those characters passed away a few years ago, as well as Steve Viksten. So it's kind of sad when you kind of look back in hindsight.
Right. Oh, and if I could share for a second, I'm doing a little bit of research on the episode, and I just found a kind of hilarious fun fact that Arnold's Christmas is one of 2 episodes that Olga appears in where she doesn't cry. Which is so funny.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Olga's a bit of an emotional mess there, isn't she?
Yeah, very emotional. But yeah, an interesting fun fact, yeah. Anyway, and also, an interesting fun fact is that the opening shot of Arnold's Christmas is basically reused from the episode Snow, in which there's a snow day happening, and Arnold and his friends are, like, playing in the snow, and the kids are going down the sled. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of interesting fun facts that you can look back on. But who are your favorite characters of the series?
I feel like the one that I always focus on, and I guess along with her whole family, is, of course, Helga.
Love Helga.
She's got that interesting background, and of course there was the Pataki's show that never actually happened the series, but just their whole family dynamic fascinated me and still continues to. And I know that I overtalk it for sure, but just the way that their dynamic is treated and the way that you get a glimpse through different episodes into each member of her family, and you really get like this sort of bigger picture, and you can humanize all of them and you can understand all of them better, and I just find the whole dynamic beautifully interesting.
Mine, Helga's up there for all of the reasons Ashley just said. I think Arnold is an excellent protagonist, and he's one of my favorite characters of all time because he's trying to do his best, and he's definitely the best role model of the group, and it's great that kids have that to emulate. And I remember thinking in situations in my life, like, what would Arnold do here? This is kind of a moral dilemma. I think aside from Arnold, Grandpa is another one of my favorites.
Oh, Grandpa. I love Grandpa.
It's so funny, and his humor is it can resonate with both kids and adults, but he also has these moments of, like, profound depth and, like, sadness over what is past, and but he has such a great relationship with Arnold, and I think both of them add so much to the show.
Yeah, definitely. The grandparent, like I said before, the adults were just as great characters as the kids were. Mm-hmm. Arnold's grandma is one of my favorite characters because she's just so out there and crazy and over the top. And, she always confuses holidays. Like, when in the Thanksgiving episode, she thinks it's 4th of July. In the Christmas special, she believes it's Thanksgiving. So, yeah, she's really out there. And just a few months ago at MegaCon, I met up with the voice actress, Tress MacNeille, and she signed my Hey Arnold DVDs.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's really nice. If you ever get a chance to meet her, if she ever comes by to a local convention that you're at, please meet her. She's really awesome.
Yeah, would love to. Definitely brings a lot of life into that show for sure. She's fun, and both of them together in their dynamic is just very fun.
It's kind of funny when looking back on it, it's like the dynamics of Grandma and Grandpa featuring in episodes. Like, you have Grandma, who's a karate master, and then there was that one episode in which her and Arnold worked together to break the tortoise out of the aquarium and having it back to the sea.
Right.
And then, we have Grandma who is driving, and then Arnold questions, like, Grandma, do you have a license? And then she just laughs maniacally while she's driving. And then with Grandpa, every time that Arnold wants to ask for some advice, Grandpa always gives him the most weirdest advice ever. The most famous one is like when he's about to be beaten up by Harold and he only has 24 hours to live. And then he tells Grandpa everything, and then he just basically says, well, Arnold, if there's one thing that I've learned, there's one thing you should do. And he's like, what? Never eat raspberries. It's like, perfect. 10 out of 10. And then there was the one episode in which when he saved Sid's life, and Sid is basically just smothering him, saying, like, I'm going to be your servant for the rest of my life. And then Arnold just doesn't want any more of it because it's just becoming too overwhelming. And then when he sees Grandpa mop the floor, and he's like, what should I do? And Grandpa's like, oh, I have this idea. Take this mop the floor. See ya! And that's it.
Yeah, Grandpa's great too. He's crazy, he's out there. And like Casey said, we do see some moments where he does have, some more profound times. I do love all of his sort of flashbacks where we get the old-timey music and the black and white pictures too. They always just kind of give me a happy feel, I don't know.
Yeah, and definitely the music is one that really stands out to me a lot. The music was performed by Jim Lang, and Jim Lang and Craig Bartlett have collaborated on many occasions. Right now, they've been doing the music currently for Dinosaur Train and Ready, Jet, Go, which are the PBS programs that Craig Bartlett created. And it gives it a really jazzy feel to it, because Craig Bartlett is a huge fan of jazz music. And I think for a lot of people who grew up with Hey Arnold, I think this was like one of their first introductions to jazz music.
Yeah.
It definitely adds to the whole urban feel, I feel like, too, of the show, to have this fun, jazzy kind of music playing while they're in this sort of crazy city environment, and just makes a really awesome feel to the whole show. I love the music.
Yeah, and also the few times in which they would sing, like in the episode Mr. Wynn Goes Country, in which Mr. Wynn has this huge, he has this country voice sounding like Randy Travis. Well, of course it's Randy Travis, but he would sing that song, The Simple Things, and it's a really nice song, written by Steve Vixton and Craig Bartlett. It's really nice.
You can offer me a diamond-plated pearl. You can send me all the riches in the world. You can tempt me with the palaces of kings. I'd give them back in a big old sack and keep the simple things. I've got the simple things. I've got the rain and spring. Got spicy chicken wings and French fried onion rings. You can line me up a mile of limousine. For me, it don't add up to a hill of beans. I got no hankering for grabbing your brass ring. It's crystal clear, I'll stay right here and keep the simple things.
And then there's the episode The List, in which Arnold tries to have the best Saturday ever, and it turns out to be the worst. And then there's that song that Grandma plays on her piano, Look Up. A really nice song written by Joe and Sullivan.
When life gets you down, wearing a frown, don't look away, look up. 'Cause memories true come out of the blue. You know the way, look up. Come on, Arnold.
Grandma, I'm really not in the mood.
When skies are dark gray, things gone astray, don't hide away, look up. Take it.
I had a bad day. Nothing went right. I hate my dumb life. I'm down.
When you're feeling under the weather and the dark clouds are getting to you, make your troubles light as a feather, and soon you'll be seeing a bright patch of blue. You gotta look up, you gotta be strong, you gotta take things as they come. 'Cause everything new that happens to you is better when you look up.
There's that one episode in which Phoebe and Helga go over to a concert and they meet up with Ronnie Matthews, and he sings like that faux pop music, really popular back in the 90s. And
I saw her face and wow.
Yes, that's the one.
And wow, I saw your face and wow, right then I took the vow that we'd be together, girl, just you and me. That's the meaning of eternity. I saw your face and wow. I nearly had a cow, and when we're together, baby, it's plain to see the cosmic power of our energy.
Yes, that's the one. It's so dumb, but it's so awesome.
Oh, it's great. They have a lot of too in the credits. I've noticed, like there was like I feel like it was Rats the musical. They had like an ongoing song in the credits where it kept going on longer. It was just there was one too. I think
It's a national treasure.
Rats, we're furry and forlorn. We live in sewers, love in sewers, and our hearts are torn. We laugh, we cry, we sing in harmony. I love her, but I love him, and darn it, he loves me. Oh, rats, 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 rats.
I think the Friday the 13th episode in the credits Grandpa's like singing about salt, I feel like.
Yeah, that's the one, because salt, if you put it, yeah, basically salt is supposed to wear out like bad luck. And if you've seen the movie Hocus Pocus, in which if you make a circle of salt around, the witches cannot get you. So I guess that's, kind of like where the idea came from. So yeah, there was plenty of other songs, like musicals were a huge thing, like in the episode in which Arnold goes over to the opera and he sees the opera performance of Carmen. And,
in the Monkey Man episode, right?
Monkey Man? No, that's another episode.
There's an opera in that.
Yeah, there's an opera in that, but you don't get to see what the opera is. The entire class goes on a field trip to the opera. They perform the opera of Carmen, and then you have Helga, who's dressed as a Viking, singing the song, Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner. She's such a loser, football head. And then she says, I'm going to take her down with my golden magic slingshot. And
I think it's, the situation is like Arnold falls asleep or something, and then he imagines...
the one, yeah. Arnold falls asleep, and then he dreams about Carmen, and he dreams about being with Ruth. And then Helga starts falling asleep, and then she starts dreaming about taking Ruth down and falling in love with Arnold. So yeah, that's the episode.
That one's fun.
And I'm having a hard time remembering an episode. I think it's a Dino Spumoni episode. It was another one of my favorites, but it involves music where there's a singer and a lyricist, and Arnold's trying to get them to work together, but they can't. I haven't seen it in years.
Yes, you're right. It was the episode in which Dino Spumoni and Don Reynolds were having an argument with one another, and so they decided to break up the duo, and then they move into Arnold's boarding house, not knowing that they were going to, live side by side, and they try to think, okay, I'm going to make it on my own. And so we see Gerald seeing Don's performance, and he's a good lyricist, but he can't do the melody. And then we have Arnold seeing Dino. He does a good melody, but he can't do the lyrics. So
basically chatting. It's like do do dabbity do something.
Yeah, it's like do 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 do. Yeah, like Cronin in my shoes. Like, and then you have Arnold and Gerald coming in together for the talent show, and then they sing Don's lyrics, and they have Dino's melody put together, and it sounds great, but separate, it sounds terrible. Yeah, but there were a lot of Dino Spumoni episodes, like the one where Arnold tried to save Circle Theater, then there's the one in which Dino thinks he's a has-been, and Arnold tries to invite him over to the school dance, and then when Dino fakes his death.
Yeah, the death ones, I remember that, and then there's like a wannabe or something that replaces him, kind of, or a...
Yeah, exactly. There's a wannabe who replaces him, and they call him that he's the new sensation, and then Dino becomes all angry, and he comes back from saying that he's not dead, and he starts performing again.
Yeah, and he's very much like a Frank Sinatra type, or Tony Bennett. It's kind of you clear, like Rat Pack, sort of like New York-style singer.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny because, for a lot of kids who grew up in the 90s, and you see this, group of people like Frank Sinatra and, Tony Bennett and Dean Martin, who were popular around the 50s and 60s. I mean, those were probably most kids' introductions to that kind of style of music. And,
right.
And it's kind of funny, looking back on somebody like Dino, who's trying to see if he can stay relevant in a time in which that kind of style of music was not popular anymore. In the late 90s, you had pop music, you had rap music, you had alternative rock, and something like swing music just wasn't popular anymore.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, that for a lot of kids, like you were saying with the jazz background music in Hey Arnold, kids might not have been exposed to it before except by their parents.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, there was a lot of the other adult characters that I really enjoyed, like seeing Oscar Kokoschka and Susie. They had such they were like the perfect example of a dysfunctional couple.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. I think all the boarders really, maybe the exception of Mr. Smith, you get a pretty good insight into their lives. But Oscar and God,
Susie.
his whole everything. He's probably the least tolerable character in some way.
It's funny because, there were some redeemable things about Oscar, like in the episode in which he is told to get a job and he wants to not do one. He keeps coming up with excuses to work in his paper shift. and he has to prove himself. And then there's also the episode in which Oscar can't read, and he has to learn how to read by looking at all the signs that are in the streets when Arnold puts him into a direction in a location that he doesn't know where he's at. So he does have some, and then of course there's the episode in which he has to babysit Susie's baby cousin Oscar, and he doesn't know anything about taking care of a baby, and then he learns about how to take care of an infant. And there's just a lot of episodes like that.
You have moments of redemption, but there are also just these moments where I'm like, oh my god, Susie, come on, you can do better than this.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there's episodes focusing on Ernie, and Ernie doesn't really get focused a lot on various episodes compared to the other boarders, but he has some good ones too. One of my favorites is when he meets up with the supermodel named Lola, who's like really tall and very curvy, and he wants to meet up with her and say, hey, you want to go out for maybe a date or something? And then she's open for it, and he's just being himself, and they're having a lot of fun, but then she's like, you're a really nice guy, Ernie, but unfortunately, I'm a tall, curvy woman and you're short. I can't, I don't think we can be able to be together because it doesn't look right. And then Ernie's like, I may not be tall, but I'm still a big man. Maybe not in my height, but in my heart. And then Lola finds out about what she was saying was wrong, and then they end up just being friends. And then of course I cannot talk about adult characters without mentioning about Coach Wittenberg and his wife Tish.
Oh, they're always fun. They've got for sure the bowling episode, the swimming, right? There's like a synchronized swimming one, and then he comes up in the basketball episode as well.
Yeah, there's the basketball episode, which features their son Tucker, which is the only time in the series he ever shows up. But
there's pass the ball.
Pass the ball, right? Pass the ball to Tucker. Anyway, then there's you were saying before about there's bowling, there's synchronized swimming, there's the episode in which they're getting remarried for like the third time, and Arnold is chosen as the best man, and Helga is the maid of honor, and they're trying to put together the wedding, and Coach Wittenberg, of course, is very competitive, and he thinks that, winning is more important than his wife ever is, so yeah, he learns a valuable lesson about that winning isn't always everything.
Yeah, I do want to say, too, in general, that it does a good job. I feel like a lot of kids' shows either have adults that are always right or adults that are ridiculously stupid. And I feel like Hey Arnold does a good job of making adults that are very human. They have both these sides where we sympathize with them and these sides where we can disagree with what they're doing, but they're human. They're not too much of either side of that.
Definitely you're right, in which, every single adult in a lot of kids shows are either non-existent, they're dumb, or they're just absolutely perfect in every sense of the word. It's like you have to add in a perfect character to kind of balance out a dumb character. And, with Hey Arnold, it's like, no, you can have a lot of these characters have flaws, but you can make them relatable. And that's what they do. It's like, if a character is portrayed as dumb, then they have a backstory that explains on why. Like, everybody says that in the early seasons of Hey Arnold, Harold was portrayed as the dumb character. But if you see episodes where he's trying to learn, like in the aptitude test, in which he thinks that he got a really good score, and he just says, you know what, if I have a really good score, that means I am smart. And so he picks up on, like a whole bunch of things. Like he picks up on agriculture, he picks up on learning about science, and then when he realizes that, no, the test scores were actually wrong, he thinks that he's dumb, but the reason why he was doing so well early on in class, after he received the test scores, was because he believed in himself. And it shows that, hey, he's not dumb. And it also humanizes him as well, in which there's the party that Rhonda throws, and then we meet up with Big Patty, and he meets up with her, and they start becoming friends, and, Big Patty has this reputation of being dumb and clumsy, but she's actually, like, really sweet. She just happens to be really tall compared to the others, and then it shows Harold saying, like, she's not dumb, she's not stupid, she's really nice, and if you're not gonna think that, then, I'm gonna beat you so hard it's not even gonna be funny. And so he approaches her and says, like, I'm sorry, I didn't even meet up with you at lunch. Can we meet up, whatever? And then with Helga, of course. I mean, we cannot say anything about Helga being the stereotypical bully because she's not. I mean, Helga on the Couch is a prime example on that, in which she, her family doesn't really pay attention to her. Her sister Olga is portrayed as so incredibly perfect that it just overshadows everything that Helga would ever do. It's kind of sad, really. And then episodes focusing on Arnold, in which, even though that Arnold is so optimistic all the time, he has a backstory in which his parents are never around. You find out in Parents' Day and the Journal that they're gone, they disappeared, and they never were found, and then finally we'll find out later in the Jungle movie. Speaking of which, I know that you guys haven't talked about this on your podcast yet, but what do you think of the Hey Arnold movie, the one that came out in theaters around the early 2000s?
I liked it then, and I'm nervous to rewatch it because I know it didn't get the best reviews.
I, as well, have not actually watched it, I think, again, since around when it first came out, and I have vague memory of it. I know the gist of the plot line of it. I might have even watched it again back in middle school or somewhere a little bit later than when it first came out. Not recently enough that the details are a little hazy. I did enjoy it, I feel like. I remember Helga and Arnold have a moment there finally, and I remember that feeling really satisfying, but the details itself are a little bit hazy still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to get to it, though, on our show. We're sort of phasing in movies. We've done Rugrats in Paris, and that one is definitely up there on our list.
Yeah, I watched it recently, and, well, I mean, the whole story about it was that it was originally supposed to be a TV movie called Arnold Saves the Neighborhood, and it would have been an hour long, and it was supposed to basically just show up around the time in which the Jungle movie would have been done theatrically. But because both of the Rugrats movies made over $100 million, and they needed to put something else out there, so they thought, let's see if we can stretch out Arnold for a few more seasons, and let's put in this TV movie into the theatrical spot. And then, if that movie does very well, then we'll put in the Jungle movie as second. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well in the box office, nor in critical praise or even fan views. And let's just say that we had to wait until another 15 years for the Jungle movie to come out. And even then, it's ironic looking back on it that the movie that was supposed to be a TV movie got released in theaters, and the movie that was supposed to be released in theaters is now a TV movie. But yeah. It's anyway. I found the movie to be a little bit underwhelming, considering about now me knowing about the history behind what the movie was supposed to be. And there are some good things about it, but then there's some kind of generic things about it. But the thing about Hey Arnold was that it didn't play into the generic route. It was original compared to what all the other slice of life shows were. And seeing the way that they did it, it's okay for what it is, but in my part, it could have been done so much better. If you want to see a movie that came out around that time that was based off of a TV show, Recess School's Out is pretty entertaining, so I would recommend watching that as opposed to the Hey Arnold movie.
I have indeed watched Recess School's Out more times than one should, probably. I still love that movie for sure. That one definitely is not too generic. Recess is a great show, too, that I haven't thought about in a while, but sad to hear that the movie doesn't live up, but I guess it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm sure that you'll talk about it more when you get to that movie down the line in your podcast. I guess we can start wrapping things up with, what are your thoughts of the upcoming Hey Arnold TV movie?
Yeah, that's The Jungle, right?
Yeah, The Jungle movie, correct.
Yes, hopefully. I haven't read too much about it recently. I'm hoping that it stays true to what it was going to be. Definitely one of those things that when I was rewatching the show originally, I was so disappointed never got to come. So I'm glad that it's finally seeing life. I'm hopeful. I'm a little bit, it's been a long time, since that show ended. So I'm hoping that it stays true to form and that it stays true to story. But I'm hopeful for it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in optimistic and to expect it to be great, and then let myself be disappointed if it isn't. But I trust Craig. I trust the people who make the show, because I really, besides the movie, can't think of a single Hey Arnold related thing that hasn't been good. I'm anxiously awaiting it.
Yeah, me too. I've been waiting for this movie for a very long time. Back in 2002, 2003, when I first heard about it in high school, I was very disappointed about it. And I know I've told this story many times in the podcast, but I might as well just say it one more time. So, when I was 17 years old, I wrote a letter to Craig Bartlett saying about how much I would love to see the movie happen. And a few months later, I got a message from him saying, thank you very much for the support, and I got a picture of Arnold and Helga drawn in a piece of paper, and it had his autograph in it. Unfortunately, I lost it because I moved so many times, but 10 years later, I kind of made up for it when I had him on my podcast talking about the show and talking about his upcoming project, Skyrat, so I guess I kind of made up for it.
Yeah, sure, but rough.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie, and from the coverage that I've been seeing over the past few months, it looks to be very promising. It looks like it's going to be picking up right where the Journal left off.
Yeah.
And it looks, and I saw the new designs, it looked really nice, and I saw the voice actors who are going to be in the movie, and it looks very promising. A little bit hesitant on the new kid characters, but you know what? I mean, hopefully they'll perform very well. I do know that the kid the new kid who's voicing Arnold was the kid who was in Mad Men, so he should do a really good job. And the kid who's doing Gerald is the same kid who's in Game Shakers, which, I mean, we'll just see how he does. But most of the voice actors, like Justin Shankarow and Andy McAfee and Olivia Hack and Francesca Smith, they're coming back to voicing their characters, and it should be really interesting about how, this would lead up, and a lot of people have been waiting for this for a very long time, and knowing that Craig's been wanting to do this for so long, I think it'll be really well done. As for the future of Hey Arnold, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, definitely happy for him that, it actually finally came about. Part of me had given up hope, to be honest, so... He
gave up hope as well. I mean, back in like 2009, 2010, he pretty much said that from the looks of it, maybe it's never going to happen. And then fan outcry happened, and there was a whole bunch of petitions, and there were a whole bunch of fan pages saying, please bring back the Jungle movie to Nickelodeon, and it's just picked up.
Props to the people, right?
Yeah, definitely. Props to the people. I mean, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the fans. So thanks, fans. And also, of course, big thanks to Chris Viscardi as well, because he's now the vice president of programming for all the Nickelodeon shows that are upcoming and the ones that are bringing back in TV form, in TV movies like the Rocko's Modern Life TV movie, the Legends of the Hidden Temple TV movie, the possible Ren and Stimpy short airing on the third SpongeBob movie. So, yeah, we'll see what else lies in for Hey Arnold. I think Craig even mentioned that if the Jungle movie does well, then possibly he can revive the show, making them go into 5th grade or something, or maybe he's going to focus on Skyrat. I have no idea, but things are looking up for Hey Arnold fans, that's for sure.
That's what we love to hear. We are big Hey Arnold fans, that's for sure.
All right, well, I think we can wrap things up, so please, why don't you plug and promote your stuff?
Go for it, Ashley.
All right, sure. So again, we're from the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. You can find us at Twitter. That's at FNN_podcast. Our podcast is put up on iTunes. You can search for us there too. We also have a Facebook page, FNN Podcast. You can find those, tweet at us, follow us on Facebook, let us know all of your thoughts. We put out episodes every Friday talking about usually 3 episodes from sometimes various, sometimes the same Nicktoon. Usually they have a theme kind of going on, and we just sort of discuss our thoughts about them. So we'd always love to hear feedback about it. It's a pretty fun show, and we've been having fun with it.
That's true, we have. And if you, for some reason, don't use iTunes to stream your podcasts, you can go on podcasts.com, and you can stream it from a web browser there.
And from the day that we're going to post this podcast, so yeah, on October 7th, which is at the time that we're going to be posting this, is when we'll both be posting our Hey Arnold podcast. So as soon as you're done listening to this one, you can go check out the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast version of their discussion on Hey Arnold. So yeah, that should be it for this episode. Let us know in the comments below about how you first got introduced to Hey Arnold, what are your favorite episodes, who are your favorite characters, and how excited are you about the Jungle movie. So that is it for this episode. episode. Hope to see you around soon, and thanks for listening.